Picture this. You open your refrigerator. Inside is lettuce that's already dying. 5 days on a truck, 3 days on a refrigerated shelf. Now it's in your home, and maybe has 2 days left. Now picture the opposite. A container lid, a damp paper towel, 5 minutes of work. 10 days later, you're cutting a dense green harvest, right in your kitchen. No garden bed, no backyard, no season, no supply chain. And here's the absurd part. These tiny mini plants have been tested by researchers, and in many cases showed significantly higher vitamin and antioxidant levels than their fully grown supermarket counterparts. Sounds like an internet gimmick. Then explain to me why NASA uses this exact category for long-duration space missions. If these mini plants are more nutrient-dense than mature vegetables, why isn't everyone doing this? Why don't we learn it in school? Why are there 30 feet of chip aisles in the grocery store? But microgreens sit in a tiny plastic clamshell in the corner? And here's the question I'll answer at the end. Because first, you need to understand what's really happening inside these tiny leaves. Why does the disappearance of this method seem so conveniently aligned with a system built on storage and transportation? The answer is coming. But first, you need to understand what's inside that tiny leaf. Welcome to Rooted, the place where we dig up powerful knowledge that builds independence. Today, microgreens, tiny seedlings harvested before the plant matures. Underestimated, misunderstood. In professional kitchens, priced like gold. Today, you'll get 3 things. Why these mini leaves are biochemically supercharged. Why NASA takes them seriously. And the 5-minute setup anyone can use. No equipment, no special skills, no garden required. And yes, the opponent in this story isn't a person. It's the logic of storage, transport, and retail. Chicago, early 1980s. Suddenly, something appears in high-end restaurants that nobody ordered, yet everyone wants. Tiny leaves, deep green, intense flavor. Chefs call them microgreens, and they guard their sources like state secrets. For years, these seedlings were dismissed as garnish, pretty greens for photos, decorative flair for expensive plates. Then everything shifted. In 2012, a research team led by Xiao and Lester published data that, in a normal world, would have caused a scandal. In many varieties, nutrient concentrations were significantly higher than in the mature plant, sometimes several times higher. It could have sparked a revolution in nutrition education. Instead, almost nothing happened. Textbooks weren't updated. Grocery store shelves stayed the same. The reason isn't scientific, it's logistical. What you can grow yourself in 10 days on a windowsill doesn't need a supply chain. No cold chain, no farmland, no dependency. Neighbors who start growing them rarely stop, and they buy far less fresh convenience food at the supermarket. That's where the problem begins, not biologically, economically. Now let's stack the evidence. Concrete, tangible, no exaggeration. Microgreens aren't a single leaf. They're a dense harvest surface. You cut them like grass. Except it's edible. After 10 days, you have a handful of greens that were literally growing minutes ago. The numbers. USDA-associated analyses from 2012 showed that microgreens can contain significantly higher concentrations of certain vitamins and carotenoids compared to mature leaves. The medical angle. Researchers at Johns Hopkins University studied broccoli sprouts, biochemically close relatives of microgreens, and found high levels of precursors to sulforaphane, a compound heavily researched in cancer science. Early stage. Peak concentration. Before the plant grows up. Top restaurants sometimes pay remarkable prices per pound for microgreens because they taste most intense immediately after harvest and lose quality within hours. A chef in New York once put it this way: "I buy them because I don't want to grow them myself. Anyone who grows them doesn't need me." And here comes the sentence that might make you uncomfortable. If something is best right after harvest, the system can't easily sell it globally. And what the system can't sell, it doesn't promote. Why are these mini leaves often more nutrient-dense than mature vegetables? The principle in one sentence: the cotyledon stage is the plant's biological turbo start. Here's the simple science. A seed has one mission: grow fast, survive, activate protective compounds immediately. In this first phase, the plant draws on its full starter battery: antioxidants, vitamins, enzymes, all at once, highly concentrated. Then comes the critical moment. When seedlings move from darkness into light, photosynthesis kicks in. Chlorophyll, carotenoids, and secondary plant compounds ramp up within hours. Without light, much of this remains underdeveloped. That's why the blackout phase followed by light exposure is so effective. You're consciously flipping the plant's biochemical switch. The practical meaning: you're not just harvesting small plants, you're harvesting them at the peak of biological activity. After that, when the plant matures, those compounds spread across more biomass. Concentration drops. And in a moment, I'll show you the mistake that ruins 80% of beginner attempts, and how to prevent it in 10 seconds. Microgreens don't disappear because they're useless. They disappear because they're economically inconvenient. Shelf life. Fresh microgreens are delicate. Quality decline begins immediately after cutting. That's disastrous for long-distance transport and storage logistics. Timing. They grow faster than industrial supply chains can respond. Scaling. You don't need fields, you need shelves. That shifts power from centralized producers to you. Profit logic. A household harvesting every 10 days buys less fresh convenience food, fewer supplements, fewer processed products. This isn't conspiracy, it's structure. Systems amplify what drives revenue and neglect what strengthens independence. But here's the good news. You don't need land. You don't need investment. You don't need a backup plan. You need a large lid and 10 minutes. Here's the setup. You need a shallow container, salad bowl, baking dish, takeout box, paper towels or a hemp mat, microgreen seeds, radish for beginners, peas for juiciness, broccoli for health value, water and a spray bottle. Light. A window is enough to start. Step by step. Step 1. Moisten the paper. Not soaked, damp like a wrung-out sponge. Step 2. Scatter seeds densely. Microgreens are not spaced out. Density isn't a mistake, it's the principle. Step 3. Cover. A second tray, cardboard, a towel. 3 days in darkness. Mist once daily. Step 4. Turn on the light. Within 24 to 48 hours, the green click happens. Everything deepens in color as if the plant wakes up. Step 5. Harvest. After 7 to 12 days, use scissors, cut just above the paper, and put them straight onto your plate. Now, the beginner killer. Too much water plus no airflow equals swamp. Mold doesn't happen because you bought the wrong seeds. It happens when standing moisture meets stagnant air. Solution: less water after uncovering. Crack a window or place a small fan nearby. That dramatically reduces mold risk. The first harvest might be thin or uneven. By the second round, you'll understand how much moisture your room requires. By the third, it runs like clockwork. And now the part almost nobody expects. This method isn't based on kitchen logic. It's based on space logic. NASA faced a problem you deal with daily in your kitchen. They just call it something else. On long-duration space missions, nutrients degrade in stored food. Astronauts need fresh greens, not in 3 weeks. Now, in minimal space, with minimal effort. The answer wasn't some new high-tech machine. The answer was microgreens. NASA's veggie program confirmed it. Microgreens deliver exceptional nutrient density per area and time, and have been shown to positively impact mental well-being in closed, stimulus-limited environments. Here's the point. Almost nobody says out loud. Microgreens are space knowledge for you. They bypass storage, transport, seasonality, and they give you something no supermarket can sell. Timing. You eat them while they're alive, at peak concentration, before any truck, refrigerated shelf, or supply chain has taken the best from them. The most nutrient-dense food of your life doesn't grow in the supermarket. It grows on your windowsill, the moment you stop waiting for someone to sell you something other than health. If this video opened something up for you, subscribe to the channel. We dig up exactly the knowledge that makes you more independent. Not someday. Now.